The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday, the beginning of another week in the red.
And it's a scorcher out there.
Yeah. It's a little humid. So we've had another week of Riv things. And what's on the agenda? We're gonna.
Well, what I thought was interesting was, I'm not sure if Ken Fiola came out with a letter, or if someone else came out with a letter, but Chris Peckham had to once again respond to what was going on. I guess people aren't happy with Chris Peckham.
Well, he's making waves. They're never happy with anybody who makes waves. So. You got to remember that that they're, they are never happy when people dig. Remember what happened to Marcia Yitkin on the park department when she started asking questions about where monies were. Now, obviously, Councilor Peckham has questioned some of the comments there, but you know what the city always does? They circle the wagons and start throwing the covers over it, the tarp, and they're gonna hide and deflect, and they're not gonna address it, because now everybody's saying. And actually, I did get a copy of that letter. Somebody, and it was not Chris Peckham. Somebody sent me a letter of his response to Ken Fiola's response.
Yep.
But I did call Councilor Peckham, and I told him I had a copy, just in deference to him, because he didn't send it to me. Somebody else sent it to me. And he said, well, I don't have a problem with that. So fine. He doesn't have a problem. I guess he doesn't care. He's standing by his guns that he is giving an accurate representation of what was said. And he broke it down in that letter. And he basically said that, Carl Hetzler said fundamentally, if we get caught, we'll plead negligence and then ask for forgiveness down the road if we get caught. And then he also said that now Mary Sahadi is backing off the fact that she told him that they were wrong. What a surprise. She's going to worry about her own job. And so they're circling the wagons. But you know something? Again, it showed people in the city know that these people are corrupt. They make sweetheart deals for themselves all the time. So if you think that we're going to believe that you had a closed door meeting and then complain that somebody ratted you out about what happened in that closed door meeting, and think that the person who ratted you out is not being accurate, I think most people will not agree with that. The fact is that what has Councilor Peckham got to gain for this? He's got a full-time job, and a very stressful full-time job as a corrections officer. He's not going to gain anything. It's not like he's going to get a TIF, not like he's going to get some COVID funds, not like he's going to benefit at all. He makes $15,000 to $16,000 as a city councilor, and he takes his off-duty time from his job to try to represent the people of Fall River. And whether you agree or disagree with any positions he takes, it's hard for me to reconcile that he would be the guy that's slinging the BS about what happened in that meeting. And if we look at this thing from a really objective perspective, The only reason this is continuing is because they got caught with their hand in a cookie jar, and it's an election cycle, because this is over. This is over, CJ. The council has already gone on record saying they're going to ask for an audit of the use of the funds. So it's over. Now they can't rob anything and they can't misappropriate anything, because the city council is going to ask the federal government for an audit. It's not if they audit us, if we get caught. It's been removed. They took a preemptive action. They're going to be taking a preemptive action tomorrow to say we are going to request an audit of the utilization of these funds.
Not only that, they put an ordinance, a proposal that they approve the spending of any of these funds, which is going to go right up the mayor's backside, because he's not going to appreciate the fact that he's going to be watched over by the city council. He doesn't like it now. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. I know that there are several citizens in the city. They've contacted me. I've spoken to them either via social media or on the phone, that are contacting the U.S. Treasury Department's Inspector General office and saying exactly what happened and providing copies of these emails so that there is no question about what's going on. And, God beholden, I'm telling you now, they better be careful, because if they spend this money in one way incorrectly, there's going to be hell to pay. There's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah.
Because there's too many people watching now. And see, we're focusing on the ARPA money for the city. What about the money for the school department? Is anybody watching the school department? I would hope somebody starts watching the school department, because they've got millions of dollars to play with too. So where's that money going to go? And who has say over where it goes? The school committee? Oh, great, the Gang of Four.
Yeah, boy, ain't that the truth, to use the vernacular. But see, the thing that disturbs me is about this is such, an indictment of the way politics and government is run, not only here, but even on the federal level. They are outraged by the fact that they got caught, that they could not, I know that Fiola was talking about citing laws about it was a private meeting. Didn't somebody say at one time that their administration was going to be transparent?
I thought so.
So all these self-interest groups, they got in a room to lobby for themselves. And from what I've gotten from people is the only people that weren't there for their own self-interest was the people from National Grid and Chris Peckham. Everybody else had their agenda. And as I said, look, I understand that. If you're representing the Chamber of Commerce, you're going to advocate for the Chamber of Commerce. If you're there and you're in charge of the industrial park, you're going to try to get money for the industrial park. But the problem is, where are the people of Fall River? Why couldn't we advocate for ourselves? Why wasn't this meeting an open public meeting so everybody could walk up to a microphone like we did when we objected to the charter? You remember that, CJ?
Oh, yeah,
You do. And I were some of the few people that went up there at that final meeting and ripped that charter to shreds. And the thing is that we stood up in front of a camera and did it, and we did it in an open meeting. And kudos to the Charter Commission, because it was a public meeting. Why was this meeting a bunch of hand-picked people for the most part? Not all of them. They were there, some of them like National Grid because of the thing. But and obviously Peckham was going to represent the city council. But the fact is, why was this a group of self-interest groups in a back room all playing let's make a deal? Do you really think that the Chamber of Commerce guy would want to go into a public meeting and say, give me a tax break and screw the residential taxpayers of Fall River, and then all my people will charge everybody more money because of inflation? Do you really think that The industrial park will go up there and say, put me ahead of the people of Fall River, because if they do, now they're out in the light of day. That's what politicians fear, because this is the way government is done. This is why we have to change the way we do business in Fall River. We truly have to do things. You had all these self-interest groups. Where were the taxpayers? Hey, I'm unashamed. I'll go there and advocate for the tax. We'll go there.
Yeah,
we'll go there with all
yeah.
the rest of the taxpayers and say, hey, wait a minute. How about us? You and your banker friends and your business friends are going to figure out how you can divvy up the pot, legally or illegally, in a back room. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. And like you said, it happens everywhere. Nobody's even paying attention to the school department and the millions of dollars that they've gotten. That's why, remember, I'm going to say that the expletive word now, forensic audit.
You and that F word.
That's right. But I mean, that's what irritates me, that we've lost sight of the objective. We got Fiola complaining, you misinterpret, you're stupid. And that's the other thing, the condescending attitude. Like, you're too dumb to figure this out. You can't understand what we said. Really? Really? If it was said in that meeting, and obviously these are all allegations, but like I said, if I'm going to side with somebody, I'm going to go, well, who's the only guy in this dialogue that doesn't have anything to gain? That's the guy that's got a regular job and is not looking for money.
I hear you, and you're right. The only thing I hope doesn't happen is that they don't start holding meetings and excluding Chris Peckham. Because we know that they've done stuff like that too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? They'll schedule a meeting and they won't tell Chris Peckham about it until 15 minutes before the meeting or an hour before the meeting. And of course, he won't be able to make it because he won't be able to adjust his schedule at work. Because that's the thing. He's not making a lot of money on the city council as opposed to what he's making in the Department of Corrections. And he takes time off. He takes actual time off from work to act as a city councilor. And, I see how involved he is in his children's lives. So he's also very much a father, and he's a very active father. He's very active in their lives. So being the family man, being the working man, and also being a city councilor, it takes its toll on you personally. But he's still willing to stand up. And, I'm going to quote him again. I don't care if I don't get reelected. I am going to remain truthful to the people of Fall River. Honesty has got to come first. I mean, how many politicians can you say have said that you've heard and meant it? That's the key, and meant it.
Yeah, there's exactly. I've heard a lot of them say it, but they didn't really mean it. And as you said, listen, I haven't agreed with every position. And, we don't agree with every position that anybody takes, including ourselves.
Right.
But the fact is that, when somebody is actually speaking from the heart, they believe in what they're saying, and you can disagree with it, but without being disagreeable. But when there's a political agenda, and as I said, you have to respect what Chris Peckham has done. Like you said, he is unashamedly basically, put his heart out on his sleeve out there. He calls it like he sees it. And whether you agree or disagree, like I said, and like you said, this guy is taking time. He's actually taken time off and personal days from his own job to represent the people of Fall River. It's just, like I said, it's just incredible that somebody could think that these people who have been in politics for 30 or 40 years and been making backroom deals for 30 or 40 years, You really believe that they're not trying to cover their butts with this now? Oh, he didn't understand. I was misquoted. Well, guess what, CJ? There was a way to avoid all this if they had that meeting in public.
Right.
Then we would have known what everybody said, wouldn't we?
And there would have been no question.
There would have been no question. Exactly. There would have been no questions. You know, and then, like I said, the condescending, oh, you didn't understand. You misinterpreted it. Or like, you know, you're just a regular guy that works a regular job and a very dangerous job at that, a public safety job. And so you don't understand what all us PhDs and CPAs and Esquires and everything else understand. I hate to tell you this, but there's an old saying in the eastern part of the world that knowledge is merely the gateway to the house of wisdom. Just because you got a bunch of alphabet soups after your name only means that you've accumulated knowledge. But that knowledge is only the gateway to wisdom. Wisdom comes when you know how to use the knowledge, because otherwise it's just a vast cesspool of information, because it just sits there and festers. Just because you got an Esquire at the end of your name doesn't mean you're smarter than everybody else. It just means you took the crayon exam in Massachusetts.
And the Crayola, you were able to keep the Crayolas afterward.
That's right. And you stayed within the lines, you know. So what I mean, look, this again is an indictment of the system. And the reality is, let's everybody shift our focus back to one thing. The city council has taken a preemptive action to cure the problem. Now there's going to be no misappropriation of funds without accountability, because they're going to request an audit. So all the backroom deal guys that we're going to try to say, let's see if we can game the system and hope we don't get caught. But if we get caught, we'll just say, forgive us. It's over, because you are going to get caught, because they're going to ask for an audit. It's not going to be, will they audit? If they audit down the road, you might audit. No, they're going to ask for an audit. And then you're going to have to do it, because you're not going to be Hunter Biden. You're not going to sell your paintings for $500,000 so you can launder money. I'm going to ask you something, CJ. I'm a really great artist, you know. So I'm going to be like Hunter. I'm going to start selling my artwork. Can you see? No, I can't see that thing. Well, it's a stick figure.
I'll pay $675,000.
Oh, there it is. See it?
Yep.
See,
I'll pay $675,000.
All right. You think I can get $500,000 for that, baby?
I'll give you $675,000.
Because Hunter Biden's laundering money through that stuff, and this is the way the government operates, you know. And so they're not doing anything all the rest of the government does. That's why you got to wipe out that swamp. And they're all making a ton of money, and nobody gets investigated if you're on the right side. You know, he doesn't get investigated for everything that was on his laptop, but now they go up everybody, all their enemies' butts with a flashlight. So this is the way it works. But the reality is, this problem has been solved. Let's remember that. With all this consternation and hand-wringing and finger-pointing, it's done. City council is going to say, audit us. That way, we'll keep everybody in line. And that's the best thing. And then we get back to the core question of, how did we allow this kind of business to be done again in Fall River? Another backroom meeting of a whole bunch of political players figuring out how they can carve up the federal pie.
Because they made sure when they got their political puppet, i.e. the mayor, in office, they kept pulling those strings tight. And they made sure they kept him in line by doing what he was told. You're not going to tell me he thought of on his own to put Ken Fiola in charge of the state pier. That just doesn't fly. The state pier was running fine before Ken Fiola was there. Okay? And I understand somebody resigned, but there was somebody there that could have taken the place of that manager. And Instead, they hired Ken Fiola or Ken Fiola's company. Let's clarify that. Ken Fiola's company to manage the state pier. And the person that should have stepped in to be the manager is doing the job of a manager, even though Ken Fiola's not doing it because he has no idea what to do with it. All he knows is there's $1 million in an account there, and I'm sure he's looking to get his greedy hands on it somehow for something. But while I'm talking about greedy hands and money and all whatnot, I watched a video this weekend on YouTube from Fall River Government Television. It was the opening of the bids for the Ferry Street project. Now, I've had a problem with Tammy being the purchasing agent, holding 3 or 4 positions, including director of building and grounds, because it's all in conflict. Now, if they found that Rebecca Collins was in conflict on the school oversight, the Durfee oversight project, and also getting paid, then Tammy should be in conflict. So maybe the mayor should apply that, because guess what? If he does it, we will. And we're looking at doing that now. But she was opening the bids, and guess what she did? She had no idea what she was doing. So the person whose bid she was opening came over, opened the bid, and directed her where everything was. Had to actually put his hands down on the bid. Now, if I was another bidder, I would turn around and say, I contest this bid. Because how did one of the bidders get the ability to step in and do all the work? Isn't that questionable? It's questionable to me.
Certainly is. But listen, it's always been bad, but now it's totally out of control. Let's talk about abuses of power and insider dealing. We were told that Mary Sahadi was going to be removed from the housing authority. She not only wasn't removed, she's the chairperson now. And now the housing authority is the Fall River government annex. They slide people back and forth. They hide them over there when they get in trouble on the city side. They bring them back to be city administrators. They get all kinds of positions. Now we get someone from the park board who allowed the Bank Street Armory to be sold, get a $110,000 position over at the housing authority. Now, isn't that nice? What are her qualifications? She slides over, and now the city council will be looking at keeping them on the park board because of the fact that they want to be a special designation in order to remain on the park board, even though the housing authority attorney submitted that before the city council approved it, and now he's complaining to the city council that they have to do this. Again, what does Fall River always do? Hey, we already paid the bill. We want you to authorize it. Well, why did you pay the bill before we accounted it? When is the city council going to step up and say, hey, guess what? We didn't approve it. You had no right to pay the bill until we did approve it, so we're not going to approve it. They should not approve this, and I don't care how many times they've done it. It should cease. So what the mayor is asking is that he wants this person who got rewarded with a nice job over at the housing authority, and then nobody can question it because it's not the city. It's a federal agent. It's federal. But then you got somebody there who's acting on behalf of someone from the city, who's a city official, who's also on that board, which to me is a grotesque ethics violation. So when are we gonna start calling this? When's somebody gonna call the feds and tell them to look into this? Because this is ridiculous. We've got people over there advocating for things that are going to benefit the city who work for the city. So they use their position on the housing authority to advocate for things that are going to be good for the city. Then they go down and put on their city hat and say, oh, by the way, we just got this from the housing authority. And they forget to say that, well, it was me that actually authorized it, and vice versa. I mean, this is like inbred Jedville. So talk about corruption, talk about a total disregard for anything. Nobody's 110 G's. Oh, you sold the armory. What happened to the first amount of appropriation to fix the roof? And the roof never got fixed. Did we ever find that out? No, that goes in the bin with the 22 windows, the Dominion suit, and every other thing in Fall River. It's like, hey, screw it. The taxpayers footed the bill. The CPA gave them money, and they didn't use it for what it was supposed to be. And how did they use it? We don't care. We're never gonna find out because we don't care. It's only the taxpayers' money.
Well,
so if you're tired of that, vote.
Yeah, the thing I thought was interesting, and I spoke with a city councilor about this. Okay, the city, I guess, didn't know or chose not to know that the park board had to be declared special municipal employees specifically for these two appointees. That's Amber Burns and Joey DeSilva. So they have to be designated special municipal employees. But to do that, they have to declare the whole park board special municipal employees. Now, the Bank Street Armory wasn't sold. Ownership was transferred to the Redevelopment Authority, who in turn sells the building, and they get to pocket the money. The city doesn't get to pocket the money. The RDA gets to pocket the money. Now, supposedly, the city's supposed to get some of that money. Now, I can't wait to see if that happens. But if the city council approves this special municipal employee status after the fact, this will show you exactly who is on the take for the administration and who you should not vote for come September and November. Because the time has come for people to hold these politicians accountable. Because nobody holds them accountable. They do what they want, when they want, how they want, and they piss all over you, and you just stand there and go, "Oh, it's raining out." Okay? So
that's right.
Understand, you've got to wake up.
And the special status should not be granted to anybody. Board members should be elected by the people. This is what happens. They want them special employee status is a euphemistic way of saying keep your rubber stamp position on the board and remember I gave you a job over on a housing authority. That's what that stands for. That's a euphemism for that. And by the way, Burns that's no relation to any other Burns we're aware of, is it?
Not that I know of.
Okay, because I always worry when we get similar names on these boards. But as he said, it's like inbred Jedville over there, and you got somebody who I believe that's to me should have never been on the board. As soon as she became CFO, she should have removed herself from the housing authority because she's even though, as you said, she's abstained sometime from votes, but she still weighs in on the position the board takes as its chairman, which is unethical in my opinion. But of course, politicians do everything. They abuse their power. They have secret meetings. They spend your money without regard, and they all got in a room trying to divvy up the money for COVID without any consideration from the taxpayer.
And we allow it. By virtue of the fact that we don't hold them accountable, we turn around and allow it. And by allowing it, they keep doing it. It won't stop until we stop it. I don't care how much you like or dislike Paul. I don't care how much you like or dislike Linda Pereira. I don't care how much you like Leo Pelletier or dislike Leo Pelletier. Okay? Or Brad Kilby or Chris Peckham or Trot Lee or Sean Kadim. I don't care how much you like or dislike them. You need to hold them all accountable to the same level and degree. There is no more games because we don't have game time anymore. Fall River needs to take advantage of what they have. That is self-governance. And we need to be self-governing one last time. So let's make it happen.
I got to get this quick. I love our viewers. We get information.
Well, you got to make it real quick.
Yeah, well, it said that somebody's wife was just hired recently as an HR director. So again, all in the family.
All in the family. Hey, people, thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Have a great day.